Good morning from LA. We are back with the US chapter of Raise Up, talking about sustainability of employees in hospitality. I'm Bianca Portobarga, Director of Sales for Ask Suite, an AI chatbot solution for hotels. And I have with me, in the country of Florida, the state of Florida, Jeremy Nichols, Florida's top hospitality headhunter with Gecko Hospitality, and one of the hosts of one of the best hospitality shows out there, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Good morning, Jeremy.
Some people think that it is another country, so that's fine.
Might as well be.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I feel it. Sometimes I feel like Florida is another country.
Amazing. And if you're asking yourself, what is Raise Up? I got you. Raise Up is a platform that offers learning, training, mentoring, development, and talent sourcing tools. It was created to increase the success and engagement in the workplace for women and other underrepresented groups, and to enable companies to attract, develop, and retain potential diverse talent, nurtured by a powerful community. Raise Up now has an online community of over 6,000 professionals. Throughout the discussion today, you see the page, and we encourage you to sign up. Well, if you have heard me talk about this before, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it all over again. But I was in hospitality for 18 years, and I was laid off last year in April. I looked for a job for 9 months. It was a hell of a ride, and I was almost in 30 interviews, and I finally landed a job in technology for hospitality. It wasn't easy, and I think the added challenge there was that I was looking to transition careers. So I wanted to share a little bit of my experience with you, and that's why we have Jeremy here today, because I know a lot of us are either looking for a job or looking for candidates. And last week, we had an incredible panel with Suzanne McIntosh, Nicole Ayer, and Liz Carlin. We talked about this, but there were a couple of topics that we wanted to discuss further, and that's why we're here today. So, Jeremy, you are in the hot seat today, just you, but I know you have a lot of opinions, and that's why we wanted you here. And I wanted to ask you a couple of things, and I wanted to start, and we were just talking about this, we have a ton of topics to talk about, and we might get to them. This is going to be 45 minutes of Jeremy and I, and if you have any question, if you're watching us live, please drop your questions in the comments, and we are happy to address them. We wanted this to be as interactive as possible. And please also say where you're at. If you're in the States, if you're in the country of Florida, or whatever you're at, just say hello, and we'll get to your questions soon. And Jeremy, so let's get right into it. Right. One of the things that we talked about last week is that we see that a couple of positions are not really coming back, or we're not seeing them available out there. Are you seeing the same? Is there something happening that we don't know? Are some positions maybe not coming back at all?
It's in hospitality.
Yes.
Yeah. I think everything will eventually, most positions will eventually be back. I think, unfortunately, there's just some positions that were impacted first and are also going to be the last to come back, which would be like events, conference sales, business travel. Those types of positions just make sense. It's just what the market dictates. But anybody who's in leisure or food and beverage right now are getting hammered with job openings. Operations are, at least in the state of Florida, you look up and down the job boards and in LinkedIn, you'll see chefs, executive chefs, chef de cuisines, anything in food and beverage is pretty much out there. Now there's director roles starting to come out. Sales is starting to come back slowly. I'm seeing group sales, and I'm seeing DOS. I have a couple of DOS searches. Chief engineers never really stopped. No one ever really stopped looking for them. But so it started, at least here in Florida, and then it started trickling out to the rest of the states because we opened up a lot earlier, as you know. We are, I guess, another country. But we did open up earlier. So I think just watching Florida as a guinea pig, I mean, everything started rolling out. What was happening to me is now happening to others. And yeah, I think it started off in hourly. There's a huge need for, I need servers, I need bartenders, I need front desk. All those positions are just like impossible to fill, and they still are. And then it started moving into the support roles and management roles. And now I'm seeing director roles. I made a prediction just like, I think it was last week, about HR.
Yes.
I think HR is going to be like, some people are like, oh, it's already a huge need. I'm like, no, you just buckle up, because these departments are still decimated and a lot of the HR professionals have left. So like HRDs, as you know, had to let go of all their team. They had to let go of their talent acquisition, their coordinators or managers, and they had to assume, they had to take on all those roles at the property, and also had to do operations and, clean rooms, and bartend if they had a, full service restaurant there. They had to answer phones. They did everything. 6-day work weeks, 25% decrease in their salary. So that's going to catch up to the industry. I think a lot that all this huge hiring need right now that's going on at the properties, HR is, simply doing their best to handle it. And then obviously operations is doing it too. General managers is doing it. And the department heads are also recruiting as well. But it's getting tiring. There's a lot of burnout. I'm hearing burnout all the time. So as a recruiter, that's people don't call me when they're happy.
Yes, no kidding.
When they're upset or mad or angry or looking for work. That's the majority of my calls. So the things that I know that are going on, I hear it, and there's a ton of burnout and a lot of people that are upset. So anyway, I can ramble on about that. But
no, yeah, you touched on something that's interesting too. You said that some positions are not going to come back as quickly, like someone that works in as corporate sales, for example. We know that companies might not be traveling until next year, until 2023. I've been hearing too. So what do these people do in the meantime? If they are in corporate sales, is there anything else to do? What they should do in the meantime?
I mean, unfortunately, they have to still stay the course that we've all been saying. Like, keep your head, keep positive. If you have to pivot, do it. If you're in a position where it's just not, those positions aren't available, I think any company, don't worry about leaving and then potentially coming back. Like, some people think, oh, if I leave the industry and I go to another industry, I can't come back because I left. Well, that's anybody who puts that against you, any kind of company or hiring manager that would put that against you, is simply a company you don't want to work for. Like, everybody should understand, if you're a, events manager, or if you're in conference sales, like, there's just no work for you right now. So do what you got to do to make it, and continue to press on your network, and just network and pivot if you have to. I mean, it sounds like those words are so old now because we've been saying it for almost 2 years. But unfortunately, I think that's the best advice I can give, is just keep on hunkering down and just keep on applying.
Which brings me to something off the script. So at this point, things are going back here in California. Things are moving to. Should people that haven't had a job since last year be looking for something else if they didn't land something hospitality just to get by, or should they insist? Because my concern would be, and it was a concern for me when I was, came December, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still don't have a job. Should I go for something else? That's something that concerned me, because I saw that companies would be looking at it and saying, wow, she hasn't worked since April. That's not good. So it concerned me. Finally, I got a job. But for someone that was laid off, maybe same time as me last year, should they be maybe looking into doing something else in the meantime, or should they stay in hospitality and continue to look for jobs? What's your take on it?
It's individual based. So like, there's some people out there that can't afford to do that. They can't. So if you can't, and you have to put food on the table and provide for your family, you gotta hustle and you gotta figure it out. And you have to move and you have to pivot. You have to do whatever you can to get money into your wallet, right? But if you have a family that's supportive and you can get rid of that second car, and you have time to hang tight and wait for the industry, that's your prerogative. I don't think there's a right answer. There's no silver bullet for that. Sure. I do think that anybody who holds that against you, again, is somebody you don't want to work with. So you just got to do what you got to do. And once you want to come back to the industry will take you back. The needs are so huge right now that any company that is nitpicking and making their umbrella too small and like making these requirements so broad, they're just doing themselves a huge disservice. There's a huge need right now.
Yes, I did hear you say that at one of your shows, saying that people put so many requirements and just like, guys, come on, why are you going to have a small pool of people while you could find the gold nuggets? I think that's what you said.
I mean, I can only do so much. I try to tell clients about the requirements, but I'm also hired to fill a position for a client. So ultimately they're going to tell me the requirements, but trust me, like I have these conversations, like, are you open to, or if I find you someone who's not a director, that's a senior, that's ready to make the move, that comes from a larger property with higher volume, are you okay talking to this person? Like I have these questions when I talk to leaders. So it's up to them. And I think that there needs to be some flexibility. Luckily, there has been. Most of the people I work with are flexible, and we can have those conversations, and we can think outside the box on how to attract talent. But these kind of conversations need to be happening, period, in our industry, and just opening up the way you think about recruiting and who is qualified for the role. Like, some positions obviously need certs, like an HRD has to have certain certs, and a chief engineer, might have to have a CPO and an HVAC license and universal certification. I get that, but too many qualifications is hurting.
Yes, agreed. And when we speak about qualification, it brings me to another topic, which is salary. And I see Jacqueline Kennedy here. Hi, Jacqueline. And that's something that I remember we talked about last week, and it was a question that you had, and it kind of stuck with me because I went through the same thing. It's easier to talk about salary when you have someone live on the phone or in person with a recruiter. But when you have to fill out an online application, and you talked a lot about this before, Jeremy, because I've been listening to the shows, but when you have to put a salary there on an online application, and you might be willing to take less, what do you do? What is your recommendation for that? Because my experience, as I said before, I took a lower salary because I wanted to get back into the industry. And of course, that's personal if people can do that or not. But what would you say to people? Put something less, put more. If there's no range field there for you to put on, what do you do?
I would hope that there was a range. If they make you put a number, I hate that. I guess if you have to do it, if you have to put it down, be prepared to do a couple things afterwards. If you want to still make sure you reach out and push your candidacy forward. I mean, you can ask me to elaborate on that a little later if you want. Some little tricks you can do to get in front of a hiring manager. But I want to answer your question. My advice on salary, and I have a YouTube channel, and I have a whole video that I made for salary, and it's hard advice sometimes because you have to be ready to walk away, period. So you have to know your walk away number, and you have to know your worth. It's like you're selling your house, right? I think that analogy is a great analogy, and it's all about comp set. The same house in Miami is not worth the same as the same exact house in Idaho, right? Because of the comp set and the houses that surround it, and in the geography that you live in and what is around you, right? So the same thing with positions. Like a DOS in South Beach is not going to make the same amount of money as a DOS in, keep on picking on Iowa, but Iowa, a DOS in a luxury property is not going to make the same as a director of sales for 2 limited service properties. It's just, you have to know your worth and what you can bring to the table, and you have to look at that, and you have to know your walkaway number. Like, I will not take anything below this number. And if they offer it to me, I'm walking, and you have to hold to that. And yes, that will possibly have you losing opportunities, but you have to be okay with that. Once you are mentally prepared for that and you know your worth, then negotiating is easy. Like, you have to do the due diligence and have these hard questions with yourself or somebody you can consult with, maybe somebody who you reported to prior. And you have to have those conversations and know your worth and be able to negotiate, and don't like settle, because if you settle, right, it's always going to come back to creep on you like 6 months later, especially when, the market starts to change and people start to come into the position making more money than you're at. You will find out and you will be upset. So, and then you're probably wondering, okay, well, right now the company can't afford it, and they're promising me that maybe 6 months later I'll make this salary there. is it okay to take a role at a lower salary with hopes that it will eventually get from 100 to 120? There's tons of people asking that question. And I say, that's up to you. I would get that in writing. I would make sure that it's in writing that you have that 6-month evaluation up for a raise. You have to, I hear all the time from candidates, this company promised me this and it didn't happen. How many times did you hear that, right? They promised me this. Well, get it in writing.
Yes. Yes.
And if they don't give it to you in writing, you should be thinking, why are they not getting it to me in writing?
Yes, no kidding. And, Tiffany has a question here that's very interesting. And it's true. Last week, she heard that it's a market for those being hired, not those that are hiring. Do you feel this is true and those seeking employment can be choosy? To be honest, this didn't resonate with me. Me either, Tiffany. I was very surprised by that. I'm like, wow, it doesn't feel like that at all.
Oh God, it's such an employees market right now. Except for, I swear to you, I kid you not, how many recruiters and HR managers and leaders I talk to that are pulling their hair out. I mean, Rupesh Patel's show today was all about hiring. They were talking about the need for talent, and literally, you have to move that day. Stop playing around and dragging them out with these searches. It's ridiculous, but for some positions, it's not. So you might not be feeling it if you're in sales or conference sales and unfortunately events. I get it. My heart goes out to everybody in that industry. I really do. I'm a member of NACE. I have tons of colleagues and friends that are in that world and they are hurting. But if you're a chef, I don't know what memo went out, but these chefs now, they are not playing. Anybody from a sous chef to an EC to a director of culinary, they can command what they want and they walk away. They're constantly, I cannot tell you how many sous chefs we have searches for. And if it's $5K off, they're nope, I'm good. They don't want to do it. And hours too. They do not want 75, 80 hour work weeks anymore. And we hired a CDC recently. It was for two restaurants. Got more, received more in his offer, started a day, found out it was going to be 80-hour work weeks. And he said, no, not doing it. And then the clients are like, our chefs everywhere are doing 75 to 80. We need it in our operations. But there's going to come to a point where if you have more turnover, you're not going to have anybody. So wouldn't you rather have 45, 50 hours or zero? Then how are we going to do it? I don't know. I'm a recruiter, but maybe cut a day out. There's restaurants here in Tampa Bay that they chop Mondays off. They take off. They're not doing mornings anymore. Whatever they have to do to give their team a break, because hours are killing people right now. And they're not. They've had 15 months to sit home and spend time with their family and reevaluate everything.
Totally. And here's the thing. Last week, it was so interesting because we had Nicole and Suzanne, who are hospitality recruiters in the field. And then we had Liz from Ideas, which is a tech company. And it was so incredible, the difference between the approach of hospitality and technology. And I think we should have learned a thing or two last year when it comes to really giving people quality time with their family and really valuing their off time, which hospitality is known for not doing that. And it's funny too, because we love what we do. I've been in hospitality all my life and I love it. But last year showed me that it was maybe I shouldn't have gone to the office at 6 a.m. and left at 10 p.m., because it happens in hospitality. That's exactly what you're talking about. It's almost a requirement. If you're not in the office super early and you don't leave late, are you even working? Which you probably would be working more if you were there from 9 to 5, but it's just something that we are so used to it. And I don't think we learned the lesson, because now, and we're going to talk about that on a next episode next month, why are people leaving hospitality? And I know you have a very strong opinion on that.
Bring me on. I'll talk about that. I'll tell you. I should be on that. I should be on that episode because I hear it all the time.
We should bring you back.
I'm telling you, you want to hear my silly analogies, but
yes.
I'll give you another one. Think of me as there's the priest, right? and he's in the confessional, and everybody goes in the confessional and tells the priest like what's going on. And then he stands in front of the congregation and he knows what's going on with everybody out there because they have to confess. Like, seriously, like a headhunter, like an industry one. And I come from corporate. I spent 17 years in corporate. It's not the same. Like, people in corporate are great recruiters. I like I said, I did the majority in recruiting, but the stuff that headhunters hear, because we are not tied to a company, so people are just so comfortable telling us like what's happening. I hear it all. Like, it's wild. So if you want to know why people are leaving, talk to a headhunter.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be me. Talk to another one that's well connected. Talk to Thomas. Talk to any of us that hear about it all day.
Yeah, and we'll get some feedback from you, because even when we were talking before this, you said people think it's because of the incentive, and it's almost offensive to say it's because of the amount of money that the government is offering. I think it's really, as an industry, we have so much to learn from other companies. And we talked about working moms and people demanding that they go back to work, not knowing that there is no childcare at the moment. Kids are not vaccinated. They can go back to school. And yet companies are offering bagels and coffee for people to go back to work.
There's something needs to happen with that. I am truly blessed by the grace of God that I have the ability to be able to work from home, because I would not be able to do it. I have a 3-year-old who goes to school. Well, supposed to. We literally can't get her in. We enrolled her 2 months ago. We have to wait till August 8th. So right now I have a nanny here, and I'm luckily able, blessed to be able to pay for a nanny and have her being taken care of. But there's people that can't afford a nanny. Yeah. And there's people that can't, they can't have their child like go anywhere. There's nowhere to put them. Like, yeah. I'm in that bucket. So I'm very, very empathetic to like what's happening with families, mothers, fathers out there that, this is a huge problem.
Yeah. But yet hotels are still investing in donuts and coffee. And that's why last week it was so sad to hear that that's exactly what's happening. We would ask Suzanne and Nicole, we're like, do you know of good examples? And they were just like crickets, because we're really not taking care of people the way we should. I think we're, as an industry, we're putting money in places that are maybe not really relevant, and we are ignoring things that are so important. Maybe if you are a director of revenue and you have kids, why can't you work from home for a while? But there is this, thing in hospitality that you have to be on property. And I think that's one of the main reasons that people are leaving, because of the lack of flexibility.
That's so true. And I was that person before my daughter was born, probably like 5 years. My daughter's 3, but like 5 years ago, I smartened up and changed my tone. But I was that person that would get there 6 a.m. at the office, and then I would punch out once I saw the president leave. It would be like 6 at night. Once I saw him leave, I'm like, okay, now I can leave. And I would leave. And then I'd see like the director of sales and marketing come in with her heels at 9 a.m. And I'd be like, what is she doing? Like, what is she doing? But she had 3 kids. But I was ignorant and like judged. And like, luckily I've done a 180, and that's idiotic. And I learned my lesson prior to my daughter. And now that I have her, it's even more, obvious. But like, that mentality is real. I hear about it like still, and it's like, it just has to go. Like, that whole, like, we grew up in the industry where it's like 55 hours. That's minimum. Like, anybody in hospitality, you ask them hours, they always say the number 55. Ask anybody. They don't even blink an eye. Talk to somebody else in another industry, what their salary is based on. They'll say, 40 hours.
Yeah.
40 hours.
And then it comes to salary too. Do you see the same levels of salary that we had pre-pandemic, or do you think companies are maybe coming a little lower, a little higher? Because that's something that concerns me too. And again, last year was different than this year. But, a couple of hospitality jobs that I looked into, I'm like, are you serious? Why did I make 10 pre-pandemic and now I'm making 7? What changed? Of course the market is going to bounce back. And why are you trying to lowball me now? So are you seeing that, or is that just a wrong perception? Okay. Okay, that's good.
Watch Florida. I mean, like, again, I joke about being the guinea pig, but we are, because our seasons are. This is our dead season, and we're still busy. Okay, think about it. We're in hurricane season, and I just booked a hotel. Luckily, I know the general manager, and he's able to get me in on a family, friends and family. It's done. It's 100% sold out. right? In our state. So it's watch us. It's the salaries are kind of back now. There's a few people that are not hiring, but like it's creeping up. Like I've already seen things go back up 10K more, doing sign-on bonuses. So it'll end up trickling out. And if we're busy now and hurricane season, I don't even like Q4 is going to be like, is going to blow your mind. Q4 and 1 for Florida is just going to be idiotic because if it's busy now, I don't even like, no one wants to come here now. It's horrible. It rains all day and it's like humid, like a huge wall of humidity.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people go. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people go. And it's so interesting to say that. I do see it too. So I don't think of course, we lost so much money last year. Everything happened. But now I think we're really back better than ever. I have a wedding in October in New Orleans too. And I always wanted to go. And we went to book the hotel and it was $500 a night. And I could not believe it because we had looked maybe pre-pandemic because the wedding was scheduled for a while and it was maybe $200, $250. And now it's $500.
Have you been in New Orleans?
Never been. God. And I wanted to explore and go to different hotels. I had this utopia that I was going to stay at 3 different hotels. I'll probably have to stay at a very, low category hotel. And I did one thing that I hate to do, but I looked at Airbnb. I'm like,
no, you should. I did that. I know. Sorry. I did. Yeah. I did. And I went to New Orleans because I really wanted that whole like New Orleans experience. I got a loft in the French Quarter, couple streets away from the main drag Bourbon. But like it was, God, that city's awesome.
Yes, I'm super excited, but I almost had to go the short-term rental route. And that's one thing that I've been hearing too. I know people that are actually going that route and they're going into commercial real estate because they want to leave hospitality, and those industries are trying to, bring people from hospitality, which has been, of course, short-term rental makes a little bit more sense, but commercial real estate too. So that's something that I've been hearing.
I have clients in that industry now.
Oh, there you go. So they are looking for hospitality.
Oh yeah. I go after them. I'm a headhunter.
Nice.
I have probably the best network of Floridians in my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, I help them out.
Good to know. So if anybody is looking to changing careers, I'd say technology, commercial real estate, or short-term rental, because I know for a fact those are looking for hospitality people too. It's good to know that people are looking for us, because that's one thing that I felt it changed. Obviously, I landed the job, but when I started looking for jobs in technology, I didn't really feel that they were valuing our expertise and our experience, and I was disappointed. I talked to Liz last week, who works for Ideas, and she said the opposite. She actually said that they are looking for hospitality people. But I saw a lot more of SaaS experience, sales SaaS experience. And I'm like, wow, I don't have SaaS experience, but I used your technology for 18 years. Does that count? And it didn't very much. But
I think the industries that I saw take a lot of our people, because, again, candidates, when I call them, I left, right? So these are the ones that I hear all the time. Senior living. And not just like assisted living, but independent living. So like here in Florida, senior living can mean 55 and up community with like a movie theater and a pickleball courts and like a chef, and those communities took people from the Ritz and from W and they just gobbled them up. And then e-commerce took a ton of people, sales, HR, pharmaceutical. Took people, I know, right? And medical, took hospitality. So those are the 4 big ones that I heard all the time. And country clubs. But I kind of lump them in hospitality anyway, so I guess that's not why I brought them up there. They're essentially like clubs and resorts. There's a lot of similarity. There's a lot of difference, but a lot of similarity with, especially the food and beverage side.
Yeah. And I think before, one of the things that attracted me to hospitality were the perks, and obviously a little bit of the glamour too, to work for a hotel or to work for a travel company, because people think you're traveling all the time. Sometimes not necessarily, but there's still that perception that you're going to be traveling all the time. You're going to have discounts at hotels, which sometimes it does happen. But I think people are getting smarter, and we are talking a lot about salary and value. I really hope that people woke up and now they see their value. I do think we are very valuable professionals. We know a lot. We are hard workers. So hopefully more industries will take us in case we do want to change careers. But amen, Bianca, thank you. Transitioning to hospitality tech from traditional hospitality was not easy. It was not. I still deal with it every day because selling technology is so different than selling a hotel. I'm completely out of my my comfort zone, but I love it. It's a challenge, and I still get to work with hotels, so I'm truly happy. But it took a while for me, so I feel for people that are out there still looking for a job. And speaking of which, do you see? I used my time last year to really study, not all the time, but
That's what I
used a
want to
lot
talk
of
to.
it.
I want to ask you a question. I want to flip it on.
Please,
I want to ask
yes.
you a question because the people are listening, and you bring more value than I do with a certain subject, and that is like how it felt, right? While you were looking for, you said 9 months, right?
9 months, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there are people that are listening that are wondering, like, what about me, right? Like, what are your tips, right? Like, I could give you my tips all day long, right?
Yeah.
But who cares? Like, I want to hear what was the most important for you.
I stayed very focused for a while. I tried to use my time to get better. It didn't work all the time. I went through, maybe I really wanted a job that I didn't get. And that really hit me really hard because I was perfect for the job. I still think I was perfect for the job. I was already making plans. I already had the whole year, ahead of me. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't get it. So after that happened, I was really upset, and I started eating ice cream for breakfast, and I was standing at my little kiddie pool at my deck, and I might have drank wine at 10 a.m. a couple of days, but that was a minute, and I gave myself that minute too. I'm like, you don't, because when I got laid off, I started studying, I started doing LinkedIn lives, I tried to help people, I was really focused, I was interviewing, and then it came a moment that I was just tired. I'm like, okay, let me have a moment for myself, and it was amazing. I'd say for a month I was really depressed, and I didn't do much at all, but then I got back on it, and I started interviewing again, and it finally happened to me. I think it is important to stay focused and staying in tune with what's happening in the industry. That was a big fear of mine, to leave and then come back and it was something completely different, which if you close your eyes April last year and you just open your eyes, it's a very different landscape. In terms of who's who and what are people doing, new technologies, new solutions, new hotels. So I think it is important to stay in tune. I love when people dial in and they watch these shows. If they are unemployed, they should be doing it because maybe you meet someone that is going to open a door for you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I did a LinkedIn Live, and the CEO of my company saw it and is like, hey, I'm actually looking for someone in the US. Are you available? Because I did one of these videos. So I think it's so important to stay in tune, but also to be easy on yourself. And I see especially people that have been unemployed the whole time, it's really hard because it's been over a year now. And I cannot imagine how you're feeling and how insecure and how fearful you are, but just keep on it. It will come up. That's why we bring Jeremy here to cheer us up and to say there are things out there. Just
that's good advice.
Sure.
No,
yeah.
most of it is mindset. I mean, even though I said I don't know what I felt like, I did. And I'll tell you why. When March hit, literally January of 2020, I sat at a restaurant with the president of the company. It took because I own the division in Florida. So I took my recruiters and my desk. I took them to dinner to celebrate breaking records. We were making a ton of money breaking records. We were looking forward to 2020. We had it all mapped out. It was like this great dinner. Then COVID hit. It was like March, 12th when it really hit the fan. I know it happened much sooner, but for me, my desk, I saw all my job, my ATS where all my jobs were. I saw them all just disappear. I kept getting phone call. I had nothing, zero. And I get paid when I make placements. That's how I get paid. I don't have a salary. So I do know how it feels.
Yes.
And I had that moment where I curled up on the floor. I think I literally did. And I kind of like, I think maybe I shed a couple tears. And then I was at this point where it's like, well, what am I going to do? That's not going to help me do anything. Like I need to, I have a baby girl to take care of, a family, a house. So I just hunkered down and I did what I could. I did what you're talking about. I got super vocal and I really started doing lives and my YouTube channel. Like I never did any of that. I never did any of that stuff. And now I feel like there's such positivity that came out of 2020. I met so many awesome people I'm still talking to now. And now people are probably listening like, oh, I don't want to do a YouTube channel. I don't want to get on LinkedIn Live. That's fine. You don't have to, but you have to figure out like what's your wheelhouse and what's going to keep you like in. And if maybe think about like consulting and doing gig work with your talent.
Yep.
There's plenty of people that need consultants and gig work, and there's plenty of websites that can give you the opportunity to use your services to get by if you want to do that. If you want to go find work in another industry, you can do that too. If you don't have an accountability buddy, you need to have one. And it can't be your friend. It has to be somebody who will kick your behind and give you really truthful advice. And if you're feeling sorry for yourself, they'll yell at you. You need somebody who is not like, that's in your industry, that you know, that you trust, that you respect, that can give you hardcore advice. And I have 3 of them. And,
amazing.
And I got beat up a little bit by them during that time, and it helped. So.
That's it. And here's the thing. We have so many resources today. We are talking about Raise Up, which we are part of, the US chapter, but it's a platform that has a lot of resources. Revenue Hacks really got me through so many months of watching and understanding, because they bring people that are presenting new solutions or new ideas. Why would you stay at home idle, not paying attention, not listening and watching these videos? To me, it doesn't really make sense. So it does hurt me when I see friends that should be doing more than what they are doing now. But at the same time, it's everybody's journey. But I do think at the end of the day, and that's one thing that Suzanne said as well last week, they are starting to ask on interviews, what did you do during your downtime? So I don't know if you agree, but for some people, it's important to understand if you were drinking wine at 10 a.m. by your, kiddie pool, or if you were actually doing something that mattered. Were you volunteering? Were you, taking classes, taking courses, or staying up to date? And what do you think?
I actually just remembered that it's still on topic. But I remember a tip that I did, and I can't believe I didn't bring this up, which is super important and very left field. You should definitely talk to your competitors. And I mean people who you probably didn't like when everything was normal. Not because you didn't like them, because you're jealous. They're making money, they're in your industry, they're in your pond. I literally called like other firm presidents and talk to them. And it was, first of all, it felt good because you kind of get that like weird, like competitive jealousy off your shoulder that shouldn't be there anyway. Yeah. And you get to hear what they're going through and you form that relationship. And there's plenty to go around, eventually there will be. And I did that. And that was one of the coolest things that I did. And I don't think I bring that up enough. So if you are listening and you're like thinking of, somebody at another property that is your competitor, or somebody that you just didn't like, but you never met them, you just didn't like them because they're taking your clients or your leads or whatever. See if they'll get on a phone with you. And if they say no, fine, move on. But I didn't have anybody say no. They said sure, there's nothing to call.
That's awesome. What a great tip. I never thought about that, but it's true. I think it also, 2020 gave us a different appreciation for everything, life and what matters and what not. So that's a great tip. And yeah, I encourage you to do it. I called people. I had people call me and ask for advice and ask what I was doing. And as you did, you were talking before that you didn't like public speaking before. Yeah. And now here you are. We're inviting you to our second, event, and you have your own show.
But it's who you surround yourself with. So if you're like looking at a competitor, they're obviously somebody that maybe not jealous, but you envy in some way. There's a reason why you don't like them or are competitive against them, because they are as good or better than you. And anybody, I'm not making this up, any book about like being an entrepreneur, being successful, or being a multimillionaire will tell you what? Surround yourself with successful people. So why not surround yourself with people who you are competitive with? And if they're, not going to be receptive to a phone call, that's fine, but you'd be surprised.
That's amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for the tip. And speaking of tips, I wanted to get some, we're almost approaching here the 45 minutes, and I wanted to get some thoughts from you on tips for hiring, companies that are hiring and people that are looking for jobs. I wanted to give one tip myself for companies to start to evaluate what we are offering our employees and make sure that we are giving them what they need, because if hospitality is not doing it, other industries will. But from you, Jeremy, what are your final thoughts in terms of what do you think people should be doing right now that they should take away from this meeting?
Hiring managers? You want me to give tips to them?
I'd say hiring managers and people looking for jobs, because I think those are the people that are probably watching this.
How much time do we have?
You have 5 minutes, whole 5 minutes.
I'll tell you off the top of my head, because I do not have any notes in front of me.
Yes, please.
The onboarding and training is paramount. Just because you get them in the door, if your culture sucks and if you have no training and they come in and you don't have a name badge made, or they don't have their schedule, or it seems like a hot mess, they're going to leave. And then you're just wasted that time and you just lost the candidate and you're back to square one. Please, everybody out there, watch your training and hire or promote onboarding or training managers, not the recruiters, separate. Keep it separate and have them partner up with each other. So paperwork's done, move it on to the hiring manager, welcome them in. It sounds like common sense, but it's not happening.
It's not. Oh my gosh, in hospitality, how many times did I start at a hotel? Second day, you're like, you're at the desk, bye, good luck.
Horrible.
Like, what?
Horrible. Now think of the time you had good training.
Yes, I remember those.
I worked for Panera Bread for 10 years. When on my first day, my desk was made, my name card was there, my laptop was there, everything was ready for me. Like it was, I was there for 10 years. Yes. So training and onboarding. And then all these incentives and the culture, you gotta talk. You can't just talk about it. You gotta be about it. You gotta move quick. Stop this whole, like, I'm looking for the unicorn thing. Just knock it off. Just please, if you meet somebody you like them, hire them, or you're going to lose out. They're not going to be around. They're not. And if you think that they are, then you're insulting them by dragging your feet, and they're going to get more resentful as the process goes. And communication is huge. Like, please, just if you have a hiring manager or an HR manager that's running the search, or a recruiter like myself, let the communication stay, with that same person, so it's smooth. Don't confuse them with, okay, now Brian's going to call you tomorrow to set up the interview, and then Stacy's going to call you, and then it's like all over the map, and it gets confusing. Yeah. I hear that all the time. Yeah. And just make it more streamlined. And
especially now, because people have been looking for a job for so long, probably. So to drag them along and to tell them Brian is going to call you tomorrow, and Brian doesn't call you tomorrow. How many times that happened to me last year? And it was horrible. It was horrible. It ruined my week. It ruined my month. It was just like, why didn't Brian call me? So more than ever, pay attention to what you promise and communicate. I agree with you.
And hiring managers too, like companies, this whole preparing for the counteroffer and lowballing is insane. You literally should say, that whenever you're telling whoever's going to present the JO, that the offer's firm. There's no wiggle room. I'm giving you my best offer. And then if the candidate comes back and still wants to counter, maybe you can bring it to the higher ups, and but none of this offering 10. The range is 70 to 80. I'm offering 65 with a sign on bonus at 5K, and don't do that. You have to give them best offer, especially these roles that are super competitive right now. I mean,
it's not a game. It's
not, and it's going to catch up to everything. It's not everybody right now, but I'm telling you, food and beverage. Anybody's listening to this, it's food and beverage. They are not playing right now. I don't know what memo went out. I don't know if there's some superhero chef out there that sent a memo to everybody, but it's they're not playing around right now.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And for people that are looking for jobs, I know there are some people here that watched last week, and they are doing everything right. What's out there? What can they do now at this moment and I watched, and it's funny because I don't even remember if you said it today or if you said in one of your shows, because I watched them. But anything that stands out to you that people should be doing now in this new environment, that things are coming back and people are looking for candidates, maybe not for certain positions, but for others. What can they take away from this?
Well, of course, just keep your ears and eyes to the street and look at the job boards. Everybody's looking for people. You're going to see those jobs posted, but the networking thing is really important, because there's searches or opportunities that aren't listed yet. So you definitely want to be sure you're talking within your network. But if you are applying somewhere and you do want to get your name in front of somebody, I say this all the time, probably said this on every single show, you should be doing personalized video emails.
Oh.
Nothing long, 35 seconds to 1 minute pitch on introducing yourself. Hey, Bianca, my name is Jeremy. I saw that you had a director of sales position listed and I sent you the resume. I just wanted to show you my face to show you that I was super interested. I absolutely love your property. I would love to have a phone call. If you have a few minutes, we can talk about the role. If you look at my resume, you'll see that I am just a great fit for the opportunity. I mean, I'm just winging it right there, but you see what I'm saying? And you look at the camera and you give the energy and you I made it. It's on my YouTube channel. I have a video on my YouTube channel saying this. I think it's called This Will Work. And it's all about the video. And I give all the links on it. There's like free services you can do. There's like Dub, StoryX Express, Loom. And you can literally take the URL that it gives you. Take the URL.
Send it to the person.
But even better. Yes, you can send it to the person. But take it to Outlook, make a hyperlink, and then call it like, hey, Bianca, personal message for you. Click here. Or whatever you want to call it. Personal message for you, Bianca. Whatever. So change that like long URL to like an actual like hyperlinked link, because sometimes people see that long URL, think it's like spam or something. So I would suggest doing that. It does take time and you do have to practice, but they'll let you record it several times. So, I would do that. And before you do that, your phone has a wonderful thing that you can record yourself. And I promise you, I do it too. I don't do it as much anymore because I talk too much, but I used to. I would record my pitch on my phone and I listened to it probably like 30 times. I'd butcher myself. And I used to say all the time. If you watch my first video, I said every sentence, and then I caught it. So if you're not hearing yourself talk, you might not notice the things you say. Some people say like all the time. Like. You just want to catch it and then do the video. But that will work. I guarantee you, anybody that's done it ends up emailing me or texting me, oh my God, it worked. Even if they're not a fit for the role, they still get replies.
That's awesome. I would definitely look into it, because when someone takes the time to record a video, I will definitely pay attention. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it too, Tiffany. I'm going to maybe incorporate that into my sales pitch too. Love it. That's amazing.
Yes, there you go for your sales pitch.
Right?
Oh, God.
There you go. We always learn.
Get some leads. Yeah.
Jeremy, I am a fan, but where can people find you? Do you want to say the name of your show? And I know you have a room on Clubhouse too. Do you want to leave people your information so they can follow you as close as I do?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. You just search my name, Jeremy Nichols, and I'll pop up. And it's mostly candidate driven, a little bit of hiring manager driven too. There's some content for recruiters on there, but mostly for candidates. Search my name. You'll see this wonderful beard on there. You can also find me on LinkedIn, which is Jeremy Nichols. I think it says Jeremy Nichols CPC, Gecko Hospitality. You can find me on there. I'm on all the platforms, but I mainly hang out on YouTube and LinkedIn the most, but I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I am Facebook too. I do host The Hiring Lens with Thomas Finn and Aiden Murray. We do it every Friday in Clubhouse, except for the final Fridays. We do it with Christine Trippi, Thomas Finn, and Aiden and I on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We do it every Friday at 11 Eastern, and it's a lot of fun. It's just us gabbing about the market and talking about how to differentiate yourself and what we're hearing. So that's a ton of fun too.
It is amazing. Yes, I watched a couple of those. Highly recommend it. And if you have not signed up for Raise Up yet, for you that are watching, please do sign up. We have so many videos, so much resource there for you if you're looking for a job or if you're looking into enhancing some of your skills. And we are an incredible community that we are looking for, out for people that are women, underrepresented communities, like I said in the beginning. So we would love to see you there. It's a free platform. There are more than 6,000 people, and we'd love to have you joined. And as I said, maybe now Jeremy will come back with us next month, because we want to discuss why people are leaving hospitality. And I will post that on my LinkedIn, and we're going to send a couple messages out there. But we want to hear from you. What are your stories? What made you think about leaving the industry, or what made you leave the industry if you're already on the other side? So we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for those of you who have watched and stayed with us. And Jeremy, I cannot thank you enough. You're so fun to hang out with, and I love how outspoken you are and all the tips that you gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. A lot of fun.
Of course. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.